Thompson, Pacific Coast Paranormal, Riverside, California. Today we are talking about the tunnels that supposedly exist under the Mission Inn, under Mount Rubidoux, 14th Street Cemetery, a number of different places that these tunnels run to. They even talk about it going to Cal Baptist. We don't know about that. But we're going to look at the how, why, and what I do know, and what is all supposition. So behind me you'll see is the Mission Inn, built in 1902 by Frank A. Miller. His mom had an inn where the swimming pool is in the Mission Inn right now. She ran that, and Frank built the Mission Inn around it. When the Mission Inn was finished, they dismantled the inn, the Glenwood Inn, and they built the swimming pool and the main lobby and everything there. So it was an interesting evolution as this thing came along. Now we're on the Orange Street side of the Mission Inn. The Orange Street side has catacombs, well, tunnels underneath for utility. The basement and sub-basement of the Mission Inn are called the catacombs, and they connect into these tunnels that go halfway up Mission Inn Avenue, along Orange Street, halfway up 6th Avenue. There's a tunnel that goes into the Annex building behind, we'll show you that in a minute, and a tunnel that goes across the street, across Mission Inn Avenue, where the courthouse used to be, and they used the steam from the annex. They sold the steam to the city to allow them to heat their buildings cheaply. Okay, here we are on the Orange Street side of the Mission Inn. This is one of the entrances, not the main entrance, but the side. It works out pretty good. We're gonna walk in this way, kind of quietly, because they're busy inside normally. But I'll show you the area where the entrances to the catacombs underneath are, and hence the entrances to the utility tunnels around here. Then we'll get into the rest of the story. Come on, let's go. Inside the Mission Inn, as you can see, it's beautiful in here. In the area of Glenwood Tavern and the music room here in the Mission Inn. Downstairs here, down these stairs, you see these doors, the Glenwood Tavern, the music room. In there they have doorways, one by the pipe organ in here, and one over behind the Glenwood Tavern on the far side, that lead down into the catacombs. Basement, sub-basement. Basically the hallways down there. You need to have special permission to get down there now. But that's where you can enter the thing, and that is supposedly where the tunnels that lead to places under Riverside actually start. Start downstairs. One leads 1.2 miles to Mount Rubidoux, and the other one leads 1.2 miles to the Evergreen Cemetery, or what the locals call 14th Street Cemetery. Do they really do that? And when would they have been built? I think that they were built probably when they built the roads. They trenched in. It's easier to trench than it is to tunnel. So they probably trenched in, walled it with rock or something, or concrete, covered it over, and then put their roads in to both directions. One, Rubidoux could have been used for prohibition, secret meetings, all sorts of different reasons for that. 14th Street Cemetery was actually outside of town, and they could have had a lot of things going on out there. Where Riverside, being a dry town, wouldn't have been able to drink alcohol, except in the Mission Inn, light beer and wine. Outside of town, they could have had the red light district. Chinatown was over there. They could have sold whatever they wanted to. That could have been a spot where the rich and famous that were staying here at the Mission Inn could go to through the tunnel underground, pop up over there, and nobody would be the wiser. We're on the 4th floor of the Mission Inn, coming off the elevator, walking across. I want to point out a couple of the haunted areas, or at least what I've been told are haunted areas. If you look down here, you'll see the beautiful Spanish courtyard downstairs. There's a clock across the way, and the figures move inside there. They spin around. And that's Author's Row right across from me. There's been stories that people walk back and forth up there on the Author's Row, and they spirits walking around up there. There's also a rumor of spirits walking around over here on this area. We'll walk this direction, I'll show you. Okay, moving along, Author's Row again right here. Then you come over to this area, and down below us here is the chapel. Look down in there, there's the chapel area. People have weddings here all the time. See that building in the back, the brick building? That's the annex. That's where the only steam boiler in Riverside was for the longest time, and it was huge. And basically it allowed the Mission Inn to be heated. A number of government buildings in the area and other businesses would be heated from the steam that came out of that building. All right, if we walk along this way, we'll come to another area here on the 4th floor. The doors are all on the outside. It's absolutely gorgeous. I've been told that rooms 421 here and 423 right next to it are haunted, and that at one time a maid had been picked up and bodily thrown out of one of these. I don't know which one. Nobody would tell me, and nobody would verify whether the case was true or not, other than a story. And then here's the Rotunda. This is the Chinese section. Frank Miller traveled Asia extensively and brought a number of things back from his travels. There's lanterns, there's a big bell out front, there's a number of things, and this whole area was set up to look like it was from China. All right, we're on our way to Mount Rubidoux. It's 1.2 miles north of the Mission Inn, almost due north. So we're on Mission Inn Avenue. There's some construction going on here. They're refinishing some of the old buildings here. Fox Theater, right in front of us. That's where Gone with the Wind was first shown to the public. There were some older buildings across the way here, but they've been replaced by this parking structure and classroom area, university area. And we're coming along. Here's the famous Tio's Tacos right here. The place is an art gallery of massive proportions. It's a really excellent place. We're gonna go there one of these days and have tacos. Haven't done it yet. Crossing Brockton, and we're getting down into the older houses that were here when Riverside first started. A lot of these buildings down here are just absolutely gorgeous. Victorian, Queen Anne, Edwardian. A couple of them are Edwardian off in the distance a little bit. Almost to Mount Rubidoux. We're going to the north side of Mount Rubidoux, where the Carlson Bark Park is, a dog park, and that's where a cave used to be that I've heard where the tunnels popped up at, where a tunnel popped up at there. It's also been told that Mount Rubidoux, over here in this area behind these trees, is hollow, or at least has a number of caves in it. I don't know if that's true, but there are ventilation holes all over the mountaintop. So that kind of leads to the possibility that there's something there anyway. And we're almost to the Carlson Bark Park, which is around this corner. Okay, here we are at Mount Rubidoux, north side. Carlson Bark Park is right over here. And this area that we're standing in used to be the mouth of a cave. I've been told by a couple of people who have lived here their whole lives that they had walked into this cave and that there were bars when they were younger that would keep people from going farther back. Of course, the bars got bent and people would go do whatever they wanted to. But they realized it was dangerous. They didn't want to have people in there anymore. So what they did is they blocked it all off, and then they built these beautiful fake rocks out of here, out of gunite probably. It framed it all off and gunite the whole place to make it look like natural rock. So we're, as you can see over here, there's spots where there's holes in the gunite where people have kicked it.
That looks like a fun.
Yeah, there's all sorts of stuff around here. If you come down this way, one of the ventilation shafts is right over here. There's a ventilation shaft right here that leads someplace, I don't know where, but that's supposedly an area where they get air down into the tunnels. And these kind of things are located all over the mountainside. There's trails everywhere that leads up to the mountain. It's pretty interesting place. Mount Rubidoux to Evergreen Historic Cemetery here in Riverside. It's up on 14th Street, and we're on 8th. So it'll take us about 6 blocks up on this street coming up here. But I just thought I'd show you some of the beauty of these old houses that are racing along here. There's a couple of beautiful Victorians up here.
One of my favorite.
Here we are at
houses.
12th, and there's a beautiful Victorian there. Here we are at 13th Street. This is where the cemetery starts. 2008, they started rebuilding. They started doing a lot of work here on the cemetery. There was no grass. It's just dirt and stones. And they came in and picked up the stones, took up a whole bunch of them, redid some irrigation, really made the place gorgeous again. Put up a lot of fencing so you can't get up there all the time now. But it's still an awesomely beautiful place. Cemetery is still open right now, so we'll get out and talk about where the tunnel supposedly came from here. We're at 14th Street and Pine meet. Behind me are the arches where supposedly the tunnel leading to the Mission Inn came up. I don't know if that's true. I've also heard that over here that they popped up over here in the couple of the other buildings, so I'm not sure. But if the story comes out here, they would have come out here. The reason why this tunnel existed, if it did, once again, is the Mission Inn was in town. Riverside was a dry town. You could get light beer and wine at the Mission Inn due to a law that they created, and that was fine. But if you wanted anything more, you wanted anything at all, you had to get outside of Riverside. So they would walk down the tunnel, which probably went under Market Street, to 14th Street. 14th Street up here to the Evergreen Cemetery, to this opening here. Then the gentlemen that were out for a good time at night would walk across to the red light district right in that area. Chinatown, the old Chinatown is right down over this direction, so it's pretty much next to it. They could have provided supplies. They were business people. They could have provided supplies. They could have done all sorts of things and helped run that area. It was outside of town, so Riverside couldn't really do very much about it. And it was pretty good. Mount Rubidoux is right here behind us. As you can see, the cemetery is absolutely gorgeous. They've spent some money here, and they're always looking for donations. So if you would, please make a donation to the Evergreen Historic Cemetery. They're looking to keep this thing running, and it's a nonprofit organization that takes care of it now. And nobody was taking care of it for a long time until they came in and got it going. But the tunnels came up probably here, maybe over in the mausoleum, not sure. But this would have been a way to get outside of town, to get to the red light district, have a good time carousing around, and there you go. Okay, here we are in the mausoleum at Riverside. This is the Evergreen Historic Cemetery. On the used side now, this is the new side. It's still fenced on part of it, but they're still putting people in the ground here. Supposedly there's a crematorium in this building. I've not seen it yet, but it sits there. This is another possibility possibility of where the tunnels and rivers from the Mission Inn came out of. I don't know where on the building it would have come up. Maybe in the back, there's 2 doors back there. Okay, it could have been in those doors back there. It's very possible. This building was built in 1902 at the same time the Mission Inn was built. So it's very possible that they built the tunnel, brought it up here. Those arches that we were filming next to over in the historic section of the cemetery, also built in 1902. Don't know. It's kind of interesting, isn't it?